Let's go deeper on the role of foreign policy in this year's election. And Matt Brodsky is with us, political consultant of RJ Strategies. Matt, you've advised America's leaders on Israeli-Palestinian peace for decades at this point. President Biden is in this vice that we just laid out. Israel's safety, progressives wanting a ceasefire, and now, how will that impact elections in your view?
Well, that remains to be seen. I think President Biden is basically getting the worst of all worlds right now, because he already threw his weight behind Israel, made some very strong statements, and had Israel's back at the very beginning of the conflict. So now some 5 months or so have passed, and he's deciding that he's going to essentially, from my perspective, kind of throw Israel under the bus by trying to force a ceasefire, trying to force a two-state solution or a Palestinian state right now. All of these kind of things, which to Israelis and most Americans, frankly, most sane people would say, that seems like an absurd contention right now. So it doesn't look like it looks like he's basically angered the people who are pro-Hamas or pro-Palestinian in Michigan specifically. And now he's going to anger the Jewish Americans, who he's going to lose a lot of their votes in the meantime as well. So he's basically going to end up angering everyone and picking up no one by the strategy he's decided on.
Which I'm sure the White House would take umbrage with, throwing Israel under the bus. But you know, let's get to Russia, because we know that apparently they are involved with malign activities, again, trying to influence our election. Do you think they'll really have an impact? Because we have our own colorful characters. We have our own dynamics going on. Will people be impacted by Facebook stuff?
Look, I think when it comes to the Ukraine-Russia, it shows how our country is really at a bizarre place politically, where you have Republicans who are very much against aiding Ukraine, and you have them very much for Israel, and the exact opposite in the Democrat Party. And no one's really making the case that 77% of the supplemental defense funding, the $95 billion, actually gets spent in the United States. No one's marketing it as a jobs program that will benefit many, like literally the majority of states in the United States. So I don't know how it's going to turn out politically for everyone, because we're both political parties are dealing with different far off extremes that are kind of caught up in a political season. So this changes basically after each primary. We don't know where Biden's going to be after the primary in Michigan, because that's a protest vote, basically, to not vote for Biden if you're a Democrat.
Yeah, foreign policy, usually if you look at the top 20 priorities, it doesn't really rank that highly on most years. This year, some of these issues tend to be a little more salient. Matt Brodsky, political consultant, RJ Strategies, thanks for being here. Coming up, the